Have you ever thought about how trust God even when life doesn't make sense can lead you to peace amidst chaos? Life often presents situations that defy logic and challenge our understanding, leaving us feeling lost or uncertain. In those moments, trusting God becomes the anchor that keeps us grounded. Rather than trying to control every outcome, surrendering to God's wisdom allows us to release fear and uncertainty. Trusting in His plan, even when things seem unclear, provides the strength to move forward, knowing that divine timing will reveal the purpose behind each experience. Surrendering to a higher power is not an act of weakness. Rather, it is an expression of wisdom, trust, and resilience. Many times, people associate surrender with defeat, with giving up in the face of adversity. But true surrender is a conscious choice, one that requires strength, courage, and faith. It is the realization that human understanding and control are inherently limited, and that life is often far beyond the scope of personal will. No matter how much effort one puts into planning, predicting, or controlling circumstances, there are moments when outcomes defy logic, expectations are shattered, and the only viable path forward is to let go and trust in a power greater than oneself. Imagine a person facing an illness for which medical treatment provides uncertain results. Despite consultations with top specialists and access to the best health care, there remains an element of unpredictability. At some point, they must decide whether to be consumed by anxiety over what they cannot control, or to place their trust in something greater, whether it be God, fate, or the natural course of life. Surrender, in this sense, does not mean neglecting medical treatment or giving up hope. Rather, it means embracing faith that whatever happens, they will find the strength to endure. It is a surrender to trust, not to despair. This concept applies in all aspects of life. An entrepreneur launching a new business faces uncertainty. No amount of research, market analysis, or preparation can guarantee success. There are economic fluctuations, shifts in consumer behavior, and unforeseen global events that can disrupt even the most meticulously crafted plans. Yet, those who move forward despite these uncertainties understand that surrendering does not mean inaction. It means doing everything within their power while simultaneously letting go of the need to control every possible outcome. They surrender their fears and doubts, knowing that growth, learning, and transformation often arise from the unknown. Surrender reshapes perspective, lifting the heavy burden of self-reliance. The moment one acknowledges that not everything is meant to be controlled, a profound sense of relief takes hold, making room for peace and acceptance. This realization fosters resilience as it allows people to adapt to change with greater ease. Those who refuse to surrender, who cling to rigid expectations, often find themselves exhausted, battling forces beyond their control. By contrast, those who trust in divine timing and surrender to life's natural flow develop an inner peace that no external circumstance can shake. One of the most beautiful aspects of surrender is that it opens the heart to divine guidance. When people stop insisting on their own way and instead listen, they often find that the universe speaks in whispers. Whether through intuition, signs, or the wisdom of others, guidance has a way of appearing when one stops resisting and starts trusting. This is where faith and surrender become intertwined. Faith is not just belief in something unseen, it is the ability to move forward even without full understanding, trusting that the path will unfold in the right way at the right time. Surrender is an act of courage because it requires vulnerability. It means admitting that one does not have all the answers, that certainty is an illusion, and that there is strength in embracing the unknown. Yet this vulnerability does not weaken, it empowers. The moment a person surrenders their need to control every detail, they step into a greater freedom, one that allows them to navigate life's unpredictability with grace. Trusting in a higher power, whether one calls it God, destiny, or divine wisdom, does not mean passively accepting life as it comes. It means actively participating while knowing that the final outcome is beyond one's grasp. It means walking forward with faith, knowing that true strength is found in letting go. Fear arises from uncertainty, gripping the mind and creating hesitation. It thrives on unpredictability, feeding doubts about the unknown. However, surrendering to God transforms this fear into faith, shifting uncertainty from a burden to an opportunity for growth. However, surrendering to God offers an antidote to this fear, transforming it into faith. When one places trust in divine wisdom rather than personal limitations, fear loses its paralyzing grip and a sense of peace emerges. Faith does not remove uncertainty, but redefines it. What once seemed like a threat becomes an opportunity for trust, as faith transforms the unknown into a stepping stone for spiritual growth. Consider a person standing at the edge of a new beginning, moving to a new city, starting a new career, or entering into a relationship. Fear creeps in, whispering doubts about whether they will succeed, whether they will be accepted, or whether their efforts will bear fruit. Many remain trapped at this threshold, too afraid to step forward, clinging to what is familiar, even when it no longer serves them. Yet those who surrender to God find the courage to move despite their fears. They recognize that while the path ahead is uncertain, they are not walking alone. Faith does not require the absence of fear. Rather, it allows movement despite fear, trusting that each step is guided by a higher purpose. This transformation from fear to faith is evident in moments of great adversity. Imagine someone who has lost their job unexpectedly, facing financial instability and an uncertain future. Panic may set in, accompanied by restless nights filled with worry. The natural instinct is to seek control, to scramble for immediate answers, to resist the change. But control is an illusion, and the more one tries to grasp it, the more exhausted they become. Those who turn to God in such moments discover a different path. Instead of reacting in desperation, they surrender their worries, trusting that their needs will be met, that an opportunity will arise in due time. And in this surrender, they find clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and the resilience to keep going. Fear is often rooted in past experiences, memories of failure, pain, or rejection that shape expectations of the future. When surrendering to God, the weight of past burdens is lifted. The past no longer dictates what is possible, and a new perspective emerges. A student who once struggled academically might fear that they will never succeed, believing past failures define their potential. However, by surrendering this fear and placing faith in divine guidance, they open themselves to growth. They study, they learn, and they take each step with trust, no longer shackled by the limitations they once imposed upon themselves. Faith replaces fear, and with it comes a newfound courage to embrace challenges. The transformation from fear to faith does not mean that difficulties vanish. Storms still come, uncertainties remain, and challenges continue to arise. But the heart that surrenders to God faces these storms differently. There is no longer the frantic need to control every outcome, no longer the overwhelming anxiety about what lies ahead. Instead, there's confidence, an inner assurance that no matter what happens, they are held in divine hands. This assurance gives strength, allowing individuals to walk through hardships without being consumed by them. Trusting God does not mean avoiding responsibility or ignoring real dangers. It means approaching life with a different mindset, one where fear does not dictate choices. A person diagnosed with a serious illness, for example, can either allow fear to consume them or choose to surrender their health into God's hands, facing treatment with hope and courage. The difference is profound. One path leads to anxiety, sleepless nights, and emotional exhaustion. The other leads to peace, resilience, and a determination to fight with faith rather than fear. The circumstances remain the same, but the heart that carries them has been transformed. At the center of this transformation is the realization that fear is often about control, about the desire to predict, to prepare for every possibility, to ensure that suffering is minimized. But life is not meant to be controlled in such a way. Those who surrender to God relinquish this illusion of control and, in doing so, find freedom. The unknown no longer feels like a void of terror, but rather a space of divine possibility. Every step forward becomes an act of trust, a declaration that faith is stronger than fear. This surrender is not passive. It is an active choice made daily in small and large ways. It is seen in the entrepreneur who takes a leap of faith despite the risks, in the parent who entrusts their child's future to God's plan, in the person who forgives despite past betrayals, believing in redemption. It is an ongoing journey where fear arises but is met with faith, where uncertainty looms but is countered by trust. Fear may always whisper its doubts, but those who surrender to God learn not to listen. Instead, they step forward, not because they know what lies ahead, but because they trust that they are not walking alone. In this trust, they find the strength to move forward with courage. Humility is an essential foundation in the journey of surrender, allowing individuals to embrace life's unpredictability with grace and openness. Without humility, surrender becomes difficult, as pride often seeks control, resists change, and insists on personal understanding before accepting what cannot be fully grasped. Humility, however, acknowledges human limitations, recognizing that not everything is meant to be controlled or understood. It is in this realization that surrender becomes not an act of weakness, but a pathway to divine guidance, enabling individuals to navigate uncertainty with a heart that is open rather than resistant. Consider a person who has spent years meticulously planning their future, believing that through sheer determination and strategy, they can mold their life into exactly what they envision. They pursue their career with unwavering focus, structure their relationships according to personal expectations, and meticulously map out their financial security. Yet, when an unforeseen crisis disrupts their plans, a job loss, the breakdown of a relationship, or an unexpected illness, they find themselves in turmoil. The initial reaction might be frustration or denial, a desperate attempt to regain control. However, those who approach life with humility recognize that some circumstances are beyond personal power. Rather than resisting, they surrender, accepting that there's a higher wisdom at work. In doing so, they open themselves to new possibilities, insights, and directions that they might have never considered had they remained rigid in their own understanding. Humility is not self-deprecation. It is not about thinking less of oneself, but about seeing oneself accurately within the vastness of existence. It is the ability to acknowledge that while personal efforts and decisions matter, there are greater forces at play. A farmer can till the land, plant the seeds, and nurture the crops, but he cannot control the weather, the seasons, or the yield of the harvest. He must do his part, but ultimately, he must surrender the outcome to something beyond himself. This is humility in practice, a balance between effort and trust, between action and surrender. The role of humility in surrender becomes even more evident in moments of failure. A person who clings to pride may view failure as a personal defeat, an unacceptable outcome that must be resisted at all costs. They may refuse to ask for help, deny responsibility, or insist that circumstances were unfair. However, humility shifts this perspective. Instead of seeing failure as an end, the humble heart sees it as a teacher. It accepts setbacks with grace, recognizing that growth often comes not from success alone, but from the wisdom gained through challenges. When surrender is guided by humility, failure is no longer feared but embraced as a part of a larger journey. Humility also transforms relationships. Many conflicts arise from an unwillingness to surrender to an argument, to another's perspective, or to the possibility that one might be wrong. In relationships, the proud heart insists on being right, seeks to control, and resists vulnerability. The humble heart, however, is willing to listen, to admit faults, and to surrender the need for dominance. Consider two friends who experience a falling out due to a misunderstanding. One holds on to pride, unwilling to extend the first apology, demanding that the other acknowledge their mistake. The other, in humility, recognizes that peace is more valuable than being right. They reach out not because they were necessarily at fault, but because they understand that surrendering ego fosters healing. In this act, they create space for reconciliation and a deeper bond. True humility also invites divine wisdom. A mind that is filled with certainty has no room for new understanding. When people believe they already have all the answers, they close themselves off to deeper revelations. Humility, on the other hand, acknowledges the infinite nature of wisdom and the limitations of human perception. It allows individuals to remain open to guidance, whether through intuition, spiritual insight, or the wisdom of others. A student who believes they have nothing left to learn will stagnate, but one who remains humble will continue to grow, absorbing knowledge from every experience and interaction. Similarly, those who seek divine guidance must first acknowledge that they do not know everything, that there are mysteries beyond comprehension, and that surrendering to higher wisdom is a path to deeper truth. The journey of humility is not without its challenges. It requires constant self-reflection, a willingness to confront pride, and an openness to change. It demands patience, as true humility is not a single moment of surrender, but an ongoing process of learning, unlearning, and relearning. It also requires trust that by letting go of rigid expectations, something greater can unfold. Just as fear is transformed into faith through surrender, pride is transformed into wisdom through humility. This transformation leads to a profound inner peace. The person who no longer feels the need to control every outcome, who is not consumed by the pressure to prove themselves or to resist life's uncertainties, finds a serenity that cannot be shaken. They are no longer fighting against life, but moving with it, embracing its rhythms and trusting in its unfolding. They recognize that true strength is not found in domination or certainty, but in the ability to remain steady even in the face of the unknown. Surrendering through humility does not mean passivity. It does not mean abandoning dreams, ceasing to strive, or neglecting personal responsibility. Instead, it means doing everything within one's power while understanding that some outcomes are beyond human control. It is the balance between action and trust, between wisdom and faith. The entrepreneur still builds their business, but they release attachment to outcomes beyond their control. The parent still nurtures their child, but they understand that they cannot dictate every aspect of their child's future. The artist still paints, the writer still writes, the traveler still journeys, but all do so with the understanding that life has its own course, one that is often revealed only in surrender. Humility, when embraced, makes surrender not an act of loss, but of gain. It expands perspectives, deepens connections, and strengthens faith. It allows individuals to step back and see a larger picture, to understand that while they are an important part of the story, They are not its sole author. In surrendering through humility, one finds not weakness, but the greatest strength, the ability to trust, to grow, and to walk forward with grace. Patience is not merely the ability to wait, it is the strength to remain steadfast and hopeful in the face of uncertainty. When nurtured through faith, patience transforms into an active force that allows individuals to trust in divine timing, understanding that life unfolds according to a higher wisdom rather than immediate desires. It is easy to grow restless when faced with delays, setbacks, or unanswered prayers, but faith teaches that everything happens at the right time, even when that timing is different from one's expectations. By surrendering to this truth, individuals develop resilience, enduring hardships with a calm assurance that what is meant to be will come when the moment is right. Consider a young professional who has worked tirelessly to advance in their career, sending out countless applications and attending interviews, yet facing rejection after rejection. Frustration begins to creep in, leading them to question whether their efforts are in vain. In such moments, patience rooted in faith becomes essential. Rather than succumbing to discouragement, they trust that each setback is redirecting them towards something greater. Perhaps they are being prepared for an opportunity that aligns more closely with their purpose, one they would not have recognized had they rushed into the first available option. Faith reminds them that just because they do not see progress immediately does not mean that progress is not happening beneath the surface. This principle applies not only to personal goals, but also to life's deeper struggles. Imagine a couple longing to start a family, facing years of waiting and uncertainty. Every passing year feels heavier. Every unfulfilled hope a source of pain. Without patience, nurtured through faith, despair can take hold. But those who trust in divine timing find solace in the belief that life is unfolding exactly as it should. Whether their journey leads to biological children, adoption, or an unforeseen path of fulfillment, they come to understand that waiting is not wasted time. In patience, they find strength. In faith, they discover peace. Waiting becomes especially difficult in times of suffering. A person battling an illness, enduring financial hardship, or navigating a broken relationship may feel as though relief is constantly out of reach. The temptation to force a solution, to demand immediate change, is strong. Yet true patience is about more than waiting for circumstances to change. It is about finding grace in the waiting itself. It is trusting that even in difficulty, there is purpose. A person enduring illness may find that through their struggle, they develop a deeper appreciation for life, stronger connections with loved ones, or even a renewed sense of purpose. Hardships are not merely obstacles to be overcome, but experiences that shape and refine the soul. One of the greatest challenges of patience is the need to relinquish control. Human nature craves certainty and quick resolutions, but divine timing often operates on a different scale. A person may desire immediate answers, yet wisdom teaches that some lessons require time to unfold. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Seasons must pass, storms must be weathered, and roots must grow deep before the first branches reach upward. In the same way, patience allows individuals to grow internally, preparing them for what is to come. A person longing for love may feel frustrated by prolonged singleness, yet through patience, they may come to understand themselves more fully, heal from past wounds, and develop the emotional depth necessary to embrace love when it arrives. Patience is also essential in relationships, friendships, marriages, and family bonds. All require endurance, understanding, and the ability to wait for others to grow in their own time. A parent guiding a child through difficult phases must practice patience, trusting that lessons will be learned when the child is ready. A spouse working through challenges must rely on patience, believing in the strength of their commitment, even when tensions arise. True connection is not built through force or impatience, but through the steady, faithful act of showing up again and again, even when progress is slow. There's also a profound humility in patience, an acknowledgement that not everything is meant to happen on one's personal timeline. Impatience often stems from the belief that things must unfold according to human plans, yet faith teaches that divine wisdom operates beyond human understanding. When one embraces patience, they accept that delays are not denials, that closed doors are sometimes redirections, and that unanswered prayers may be blessings in disguise. Trusting in divine timing means releasing the frustration of waiting and instead embracing the journey itself. Faith does not promise immediate gratification, but it does promise that nothing is wasted. Every moment of waiting is an opportunity to grow, to prepare, to strengthen one's spirit. The person who remains faithful despite unanswered prayers develops resilience. The person who continues to hope despite setbacks deepens their trust. And the person who surrenders their timeline finds freedom in knowing they are exactly where they are meant to be. Patience also fosters gratitude. When one stops fixating on what has not yet happened and instead appreciates what is, they shift from frustration to contentment. The person who desires success but remains patient sees value in the lessons learned along the way. The couple waiting for a child cherishes the time they have together. The individual facing hardship recognizes the strength they are building. Gratitude transforms waiting from a burden into a gift. In surrendering to patience, life is no longer a race to the next milestone, but a journey to be embraced fully. The person who trusts in divine timing walks with peace, knowing that they do not have to rush or force their way forward. They understand that just as the seasons change, just as the sun rises in its own time, their lives will unfold exactly as they are meant to. With patience, nurtured through faith, they endure hardships, not with despair, but with perseverance, knowing that all things will come together in their appointed time. Faith in unseen forces serves as an anchor during life's storms, offering resilience to those who surrender rather than resist the inevitable trials of existence. It is easy to trust when circumstances are favorable, when life unfolds as expected, and when answers come without struggle. However, true faith is tested in the face of uncertainty. When the path ahead is obscured and when challenges seem insurmountable, those who place their trust in divine wisdom, in forces beyond what the eye can perceive, cultivate a strength that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is instead rooted deep within. Resilience is not merely the ability to endure hardship, it is the capacity to rise after every fall, to continue forward even when progress is unseen, and to maintain faith despite difficulties. A person experiencing loss may feel as though their world has collapsed. Grief can make the future seem bleak, as though no amount of effort will bring light back into their life. Yet, faith instills the understanding that even in sorrow, there is purpose. Time moves forward, and with it comes healing, though it may not be immediately visible. The one who surrenders to this truth, who trusts that unseen forces are at work in their restoration, finds the strength to keep moving. They do not deny their pain, but neither do they allow it to define them. This resilience extends beyond personal loss. In the face of failure, many abandon their pursuits, believing that setbacks are a sign to quit. However, faith teaches that every failure carries a lesson. Every delay has meaning, and every challenge builds character. A business owner struggling to keep their vision alive, facing rejection after rejection, may be tempted to give up. Yet, those who surrender their worries and trust that perseverance will lead them where they need to be are the ones who ultimately succeed. They understand that resilience is not about controlling outcomes, but about remaining steadfast even when the destination is unclear. Faith also provides resilience in the face of fear. When the future is uncertain, anxiety can become overwhelming, paralyzing decisions and filling the mind with doubt. But faith allows one to step forward without needing absolute certainty. A student unsure of their abilities, an artist fearful that their work will never be recognized, a person hesitant to open their heart again after betrayal, all face fears that could hold them back. Yet, surrendering to the unknown, trusting that unseen forces guide them, allows them to take risks, to embrace opportunities, and to move beyond their fears. There are moments in life when the weight of circumstances feels unbearable. Financial burdens, health crises, broken relationships, these can leave individuals feeling powerless. But those who rely on faith do not measure their strength by immediate relief or tangible proof of progress. They understand that resilience is often quiet, built in the waiting, in the unseen moments of perseverance. A single mother working tirelessly to provide for her children may not see immediate rewards for her sacrifices, but faith tells her that her efforts are not in vain. A man recovering from an illness may struggle with patience, but trusting in unseen forces gives him the resilience to continue, knowing that healing is a process, not an instant event. Surrendering to faith does not mean avoiding action. It means approaching challenges with a perspective that is not clouded by fear. A person who fights against circumstances, who refuses to accept the natural ebb and flow of life, exhaust themselves in resistance. But those who surrender, who acknowledge that life's course is often beyond their control, find a peace that strengthens them. They do what they can, and they trust in what they cannot see. This balance between action and surrender allows them to endure with grace rather than struggle in frustration. Faith also fosters resilience by shifting focus away from immediate gratification. Many expect instant answers, quick solutions, and visible progress. But true transformation often happens beneath the surface before it is seen. A tree does not grow strong overnight. Its roots develop in the unseen depths before its branches reach the sky. Similarly, a person who surrenders to faith understands that their growth, their healing, and their purpose are unfolding in ways that may not be immediately visible. This understanding allows them to remain patient, to trust the process, and to continue forward with determination. Resilience is further strengthened by community, by the understanding that no one walks through life alone. Faith reminds individuals that they are part of something greater, that unseen forces connect them to others who can offer support, wisdom, and encouragement. The person struggling in silence, who believes they must bear their burdens alone, may feel as though their strength is failing. Yet, faith teaches that help often comes in unexpected ways: a kind word from a stranger, a timely opportunity, an unforeseen solution. Those who surrender to faith remain open to these blessings, recognizing that resilience is not just about personal strength, but about the strength found in connection. Through faith, even suffering can be transformed into something meaningful. The hardships endured today may one day serve as encouragement for someone else. A person who has walked through darkness and emerged stronger carries a light for others who are still struggling. Their resilience becomes a testimony, a reminder that no difficulty is permanent, that unseen forces are always at work, shaping and guiding each person toward their highest good. They may not have seen the hand that carried them through, but they know it was there. Faith in unseen forces does not eliminate challenges, it transforms the way they are faced. It allows individuals to see beyond the immediate struggle, to trust in a purpose greater than their own understanding. Those who surrender in faith do not avoid hardship, nor do they seek to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they walk forward resilient, not because they are free from struggles, but because they have learned that true strength comes not from certainty, but from trust. Letting go of control is a liberating choice that brings peace, clarity, and fulfillment. The human mind naturally seeks stability, but life remains unpredictable. Clinging to control creates anxiety and frustration, whereas surrendering to life's flow fosters resilience and inner strength. True peace is found not in micromanaging every detail, but in accepting uncertainty and focusing on what truly matters. Those who release control adapt more easily to change. Instead of resisting unexpected challenges, they trust that life unfolds with purpose. A person who meticulously plans every step, may struggle when faced with setbacks, but one who embraces flexibility navigates difficulties with grace. Letting go does not mean passivity. It means shifting focus from controlling outcomes to making thoughtful, present-minded choices. As Reinhold Niebuhr's Serenity Prayer beautifully states, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Clarity emerges when control is released. Rather than being consumed by worry, people gain perspective, recognizing what is within their power and what is not. Relationships also thrive when expectations are replaced with acceptance. Instead of trying to mold others, those who surrender cultivate deeper connections based on trust and understanding. Letting go fosters faith. When individuals stop forcing life into a rigid structure, they begin to see how challenges lead to growth. What once seemed like a failure may, in time, reveal itself as a redirection towards something greater. This surrender is an ongoing process, a conscious choice to trust rather than fear, to live with presence rather than worry. Those who embrace it walk with a newfound lightness, free from the burden of control, focused on the beauty of each unfolding moment. Surrender in relationships fosters deeper connection, understanding, and growth by replacing control with acceptance, empathy, and gratitude. Many conflicts arise from the desire to shape others to fit personal expectations, but true harmony comes from embracing differences rather than resisting them. Acceptance allows relationships to flourish by removing unrealistic demands. Rather than trying to change others, surrender encourages patience and love, strengthening bonds naturally. Empathy grows when control is released, allowing individuals to understand each other's struggles without imposing personal views. A parent who surrenders control recognizes that their child's path may differ from their own, supporting them unconditionally instead of enforcing expectations. Gratitude emerges when people appreciate others as they are, rather than measuring them against ideals. Many relationships suffer from unmet expectations rather than real issues. Surrender shifts the focus from what is lacking to the value of simple moments, acts of kindness, shared conversations, and presence in difficult times. Letting go does not mean neglecting relationships, but allowing them to unfold naturally. Love thrives not through control, but through trust, where individuals feel free to be themselves without fear of judgment. In surrender, relationships transform from spaces of expectation to places of acceptance, where love and understanding deepen, creating lasting joy. Surrendering is not only about letting go of external control, but also about embracing oneself with kindness and understanding. It nurtures self-compassion by allowing individuals to release the unrealistic expectations they place upon themselves, accepting imperfections as part of the journey rather than as failures. Many struggle with self-criticism, believing they must meet certain standards to be worthy of love. success, or happiness. However, surrendering to the truth that growth is a continuous process creates space for self-acceptance and inner peace. A person striving for perfection may fear making mistakes, seeing them as evidence of inadequacy. Yet, surrender teaches that mistakes are not setbacks, but stepping stones to wisdom. A musician who hesitates to perform for fear of imperfection may never experience the joy of sharing their gift. But by surrendering to the process, they begin to see that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength, and that beauty often lies in imperfection. This shift in perspective encourages patience with oneself, replacing self-doubt with self-trust. Surrender also helps individuals navigate their personal journeys without constant comparison to others. In a world that often measures success by external achievements, it is easy to feel behind, believing that one must follow a certain timeline to be valued. But surrendering to one's unique path removes this pressure. A student who takes longer to complete their studies, a professional who changes careers later in life, or someone healing from past wounds all find freedom in trusting that their journey is unfolding as it should. By embracing surrender, individuals learn to speak to themselves with the same kindness they would offer a friend. Instead of harsh self-judgment, there is grace. Instead of frustration over perceived shortcomings, there is gratitude for progress. This self-compassion strengthens resilience, allowing people to move forward not with self-doubt, but with confidence in their own growth. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about trusting oneself, embracing imperfections, and allowing personal transformation to unfold with patience and faith. Trusting in God, even when life feels uncertain, strengthens faith, resilience, and purpose. The human mind seeks understanding, yet many moments in life defy logic, unfolding in ways beyond comprehension. In these times, faith becomes a guiding light, offering reassurance that challenges are not meaningless, but part of a greater plan. Divine timing ensures that every experience, whether joyful or painful, arrives at the right moment, shaping individuals in ways they may not immediately see. As Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Embracing trust over fear allows people to navigate uncertainty with peace, knowing they do not walk alone. Resilience grows not from having all the answers, but from surrendering to the belief that every step, even those taken in darkness, leads somewhere meaningful. As Helen Keller once said, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Letting go of control does not mean abandoning effort, but rather shifting from anxiety to faith, from resistance to acceptance. Life's journey is not about having all the answers, but about trusting in the greater design. Surrender is the bridge between doubt and clarity, unlocking doors that once seemed closed. In the end, fulfillment is not found in certainty, but in the courage to trust the unseen, to move forward with unwavering faith, and to embrace life's unfolding masterpiece with hope and gratitude. As A.W.T.O.Z.E. wisely said, faith is the gaze of a soul upon a saving God.